My Adventures with Superman was back again this week on Adult Swim for a brand new episode entitled Pierce the Heavens, Superman, which, holy crap, is that a Gurren Lagann reference? This show is wild, I tell ya. Now, I'm Cape Joel, and this is the video series where I give my thoughts and feelings on the episode that was, while also shouting out any comic book Easter eggs or references I can find. So, with that out of the way, let's get into it. So then, picking up directly from where last week left off, Clark had his physical body stolen away by Brainiac while his mind was trapped in the Black Mercy, forced to live out a simulation of what his life could have been had he stayed on Krypton. Right out of the gate, we got a ton of comic book references. We see Clark tending to an alien zoo, home to creatures that are the last of its species, something that he would do all the time in the books as part of the Fortress of Solitude. And the creature he's feeding just so happens to be a baby Sun Eater. In the comics, Sun Eaters were alien super weapons used by the Controllers, though perhaps the most famous Sun Eater storyline came in Grant Morrison's All-Star Superman. This is also the first time we actually get to hang out with Superman's mom, Lara, and if her voice sounds familiar to you, it should, because that's Rhea Seehorn, best known for her work on Better Call Saul. Though, if you're like me, your mind probably went to her last big voice acting role as Anessa from Invincible. Wow, how about that? The comment section doesn't have to make any Invincible connections this week because the show literally did it for you. Also, wow, you know, if I had a nickel for every time Seehorn did a great job voicing the wife of a Superman type, I'd have 2 nickels, which isn't a lot, but still pretty crazy. It happened more than once. You may also remember Lois heroically entered the Black Mercy to try and save Clark, but unfortunately for her, the device isn't meant to hold 2 minds at once, meaning she ends up completely losing her memory. And she'll have to spend a good chunk of the episode fighting to try and get her memories back. Now, back on Earth, things aren't much better for our heroes. Jimmy attempts to use his Flamebird connections to warn the people of Earth about Brainiac's inevitable invasion, only for him to come under attack by Waller and her goons. In fact, Jimmy and Lois would very easily have died in this situation if Kara wasn't there to make the save, though this victory is unfortunately short-lived as Waller has a whole arsenal of anti-Kryptonian weapons she's been chomping at the bit to use on Superman, and with him gone, it looks like Brainiac will have to suffice for this dry run. When Lois and Clark finally do end up meeting face-to-face in the simulation, we get some very interesting characterization. For one, even with his mind a jumble of different unrelated memories, Clark is still his regular kind-hearted self, even offering Lois a piece of cake despite the fact that she's his parents' prisoner right now. What do you think Kryptonian cake tastes like? I'm gonna guess buttercream. Also, in the world of this simulation, Clark casts himself as a member of the scientist caste and not the warrior caste, meaning that Clark doesn't see himself as a fighter in his own mind. In fact, he doesn't seem to have a very good view of himself at all here within the Black Mercy. Luckily for Lois, all it takes is making contact with Superman for her memories to return, including who she is and her mission. Unfortunately, Jor-El and Lara can't have that and try and delete her from the Black Mercy, only this ends up backfiring on them in a major way, as all it does is reset the simulation to the moments Lois entered it. Meaning that the middle part of this episode sees Lois live out her own version of Groundhog Day as she desperately tries to get Clark's attention. This also serves as a very clever narrative way for Lois to work through many of the issues she's been struggling with all season long. From initially playing coy with Kal-El as to what their relationship was, to eventually by the end just blurting out that he's her boyfriend and that she's come to save him. I love too, little by little Clark starts waking up, even answering to his Earth name without even really realizing it. Now back with Jimmy and Kara, their rescue from Waller ends up coming in the form of a united Daily Planet team. Hell, even Vicky is there, and honestly, after seeing what Waller did to journalists and repressing the truth via martial law, getting to see the news team here fight back and save their friend is very heartwarming stuff. Steve Lombard is also here, adding some very much needed comedy and levity in another pretty damn dramatic and heavy episode. Also, his van has the 3-wolf moon art on it, and I mean, that's just perfect in so many ways. It's here poor Kara really finds herself at the end of her metaphorical rope. She's lost everything she's ever known in just a day or so. Her world is totally upside down, and she's questioning who she is and what her place in the universe is. It's here Jimmy once again comes in clutch by saying that Superman was born under the same circumstances as her, and if he could find hope, and if he could become a hero to Earth, there's no reason Kara can't do the same. Again, we don't need to be alone in the universe forever. And it's a damn good thing too that Kara has found the will to fight back, because despite multiple seasons worth of her scheming, backstabbing, and machinations, all of Waller's anti-super weapons, her supervillain agents, they don't seem to do a damn thing against Super Brainiac. And it is ultimately pretty damn satisfying to see all of her ambitions ultimately come to naught and blow up in her face. Hell, even the brand new Metallo robots equipped with kryptonite hearts only managed to slow Super Brainiac down. But more on them later. All of this ends up leading to a massively emotional and action-packed climax as Lois is finally able to remind Clark of who he is by essentially admitting her own undying love for the Man of Steel, while also admitting that while before she was scared of being abandoned by Clark the same way she was abandoned by her father, she now knows that love isn't for cowards. Hey, nice callback. But more than anything though, Lois says that she loves Clark not because of what he can do, but because of who he is. It's why she named him Superman in the first place after all. And this stuff right here, this is just simply the best. A beautifully moving, massively effective scene that perfectly encapsulates the ethos of My Adventures with Superman as a series, and indeed why I think Superman as a character has maintained in media for 80 plus years. It's just completely uncynical, unironic, and it left me with a massive smile on my face. This message of undying love and acceptance is also further hit home too by the fact that Lois, while in Superman's mind, has powers of her own, because as far as Clark is concerned, she's the most powerful person he's ever known. And that by standing together as a united front, Brainiac can no longer manipulate their fears of rejection and loneliness anymore. Also, we don't talk about it enough, but the music in this episode was easily some of the very best of the entire series, upbeat and heroic without going the traditional soaring or orchestral route. Again, it's very, very anime in the best way possible, and honestly, it makes me want to buy the soundtrack right away. It's after that everything starts happening very fast. Lois and Clark manage to escape the Black Mercy just as Brainiac manages to upgrade himself and his drones with brand new kryptonite-proof shielding, meaning all of Lex's hard work all season long has really come to naught before his very eyes. Kara ends up putting her own life on the line to tank a massive laser blast that might very well have destroyed the entire city if not blown a hole in the whole planet. Superman regains control of his own body in just enough time to save his cousin, and because he's developed so much in classic anime fashion, he gets a brand new upgraded costume to mark the occasion, complete with shoulder pauldrons and a shiny gold trim. I dig it. With the villains back against the wall and the tide quickly turning, Brainiac takes control of the Metallo robots so he can use their kryptonite weapons on Kara and Clark as the episode comes to another massive cliffhanger ending. And so that was Pierce the Heavens Superman, and you know what, the word epic gets thrown around a lot online to the point where I think the word has lost a lot of its original meaning, but I don't think there is a better word to describe this week's outing. It was epic. In fact, I dare say this episode is the perfect encapsulation of everything My Adventures with Superman tries to do as a series, a deep exploration of characters and their internal struggles, remixing of classic comic book stories with anime-inspired action, throw in some of the best music in the show, and I think you have a recipe for something really special. It's also kind of crazy to think that the latter part of Season 2 has basically been telling one long, continuous, non-stop story, and man, you know what, I just wish it was next week already. But until then, everyone, that'll just about do it for me in another video. I hope you enjoyed it. As always, be sure to follow me on social media so you always know when a new animated review is about to drop. In fact, the next couple months on the channel are going to be pretty damn busy because we're going to get Cape Crusader and Kite Man dropping very soon, as well as the return of Hitmonkey. Be sure to follow me on TikTok if you want to see me cover that. And if you like these Superman videos, I hope you'll stick around and check those out too. I promise you'll enjoy them.